What's up YouTube? It's Luke here. Today I've got a new product review for you. This is on the Hercules Inpulse 300 DJ controller. Entry-level controller. The coolest part of this controller is the fact that it only costs $199. And once I explain all the features on it, I think you're going to think that's a pretty good price as well. Very nice controller. I've had a chance to use it a couple of times. It is pretty robust. It feels pretty good. I do love the platters on it. I'll go through all the features in a minute here and kind of explain everything to you. But it does have a nice master out as far as RCAs. It has headphone jack on the front right here, which is awesome. Some of the other controllers for $199 don't even have a headphone jack on them, which is kind of interesting to me. And it came with very clear setup instructions and basic mixing instructions. So if this is your first time with a DJ controller, you have no idea where to start on this, you can take a look at that. There are tutorial videos that Hercules has put out that are pretty cool. And there are some features on this particular controller that make learning how to DJ real easy. Let's check those out. Okay, so on this controller, pretty straightforward as far as some of the button layout, right? You've got your play pause button, you have a cue button, you have a sync button, and here's shift for all of the secondary features of all the controls. Now you do have 8 hot cue pads down here, and you have banks. So you have hot cue, you have a roll bank, which is real neat, you have slicer, and you have your sampler on all these pads. These are actually very nice. A lot of times you don't find these features until you get into a much higher level controller. The tempo faders are very nice, and the best part is if you take a look at the edge right here, when you're on tempo, it lights up green. When you're a little too slow, it shows the other one. When you're a little too fast, it lights up this bottom arrow. And what you have here is something called beat align. Okay, so what that beat alignment tool does is if you're beat matching between your left deck and your right deck, this will show you if your beat on the right deck is too slow or too fast, and then you can take your fingers and turn this jog wheel accordingly to speed that up. You have your 2 standard volume faders, left and right deck, as well as a crossfader. Now, this is not a replaceable crossfader, but chances are if you're buying this controller, you're not going to be burning up crossfaders scratching so much. We have the headphone control as well as our master volume control. You get 3 bands of EQ on both sides. You've got high, mid, low, as well as your gain up here at the top. And then in addition to that, you also have a filter knob. The filtering on this is actually really good. I like it. There are cue buttons down here so you can cue up each deck in your headphones, as well as a master to cue up the master. Now, you have a beat match guide here. So if you are new to DJing, you can turn this beat match guide on and it will actually show you your beat alignment on indicators and tell you if your track is too fast or too slow as you are trying to blend them together. And that's easy to turn on and off right there. Up here at the top, you have a single effect strip on both decks. You have an on switch, which actually these switches feel really good, by the way. This effects knob has good resistance. This dials in the effect, and then your dry and wet signal right over here. So if you want to have it fully blended, crank that all the way to the right. Just a nice simple effect strip. Okay, over here on the right below the platters, you have a slip button. If you're not familiar with slip, it allows you to scratch or hot cue or roll or something, but you won't lose your place in the song. It will pick back up where you left off. This cue button right here is for Quantize. So what will happen is you can set your hot cues to quantize to the beat grid so that literally your hot cue points are exactly on the beat, which is very cool. If for some reason you like to have a hot cue in between beats or something, you can just hit that cue button to turn that back off, and it will allow you to place a hot cue wherever you like. Over here on the left of the platter, we have the vinyl button. What this will do is enable or disable the ability to scratch so it sounds like vinyl. And you also have your loop feature right there as well. That comes standard with a 4-beat loop. You can obviously adjust that, and then you have your in and your out button for your loop. And up here at the top, we have one of the coolest features of this software and this controller is the assistant. Now what you can do is hit that assistant button and it will actually bring up an on-screen assistant that finds songs that are comparable, that will match well, and kind of suggests them for you, which is nice. You also have the ability, there's an energy control at the top. You can set the energy of what you want your music to be. So if you want it to be a little slower, if you want it to be very high energy, high BPM, that assistant will make recommendations based on that. Very cool feature. And then as you are using your beat match guide, you have your beat alignment tool right here. And what it does is the arrows light up to show you if your right deck is too slow or too fast as compared to the left, or vice versa. Very nice feature, particularly when you're starting out and having trouble beat matching. This will help you to align those perfectly. The buttons feel really good on this deck. I like them a lot. The only thing I don't care for are these hot cue buttons because they click. You heard the actual sound effect, but the button itself has a tactile click to it. Some people like that, some people don't. I personally prefer a different type of pad that has more velocity sensitive, but they are nice. They have a nice rubberized feel to them. There's nothing wrong with them.